So today I'm going to explain you how, starting from a mechanical scheme representing the degradation, chemical degradation of a polymer, it is possible to build a kinetic model. And also, since we plan to predict the change of use properties and the lifetime of the material, we will add close to this kinetic model structure property relationships in order to predict the consequences of the chemical degradation at a scale on the microstructure and up to the use properties. So I will try to show you that. So my presentation will be illustrated by example coming for result coming from the European project TeamCable. So that means example of result on obtained on cross-linked polyethylene. And the objective, because it is possible to present you a numerical model just by showing the theoretical concepts. In fact, the idea in this project was totally different. We have to give to people working at upper scale, working on mechanical calculation code or multiphysics calculation code. We have to give them law predicting the change of the material. So the idea was not to use a numerical kinetic model because it is very difficult to introduce in such commercial code because the time of calculation is very consuming. So you have a lot of equations to solve. You need to use a very low time space and a very low space of for the resolution of this problem. So it is very difficult to manipulate and use. So the idea was to find analytical equation, simple analytical equation, giving the same solutions as the numerical equation. So the first point of my presentation will be to present you a general methodology in order to obtain this analytical equation. I will show you the methodology and the assumption we made to obtain this equation. The second part of my talk will be the application of this methodology to the TeamCable problem. First, we are going to try to simulate the polymer stabilization, then the polymer oxidation, up to the change of use properties and try to predict the lifetime of the cross-linked polyethylene insulation. So this general methodology can be summarized as follows. So below I will call you the general graph I present you the first day of the winter school, showing the change in use properties of the time of exposure. And I have add above the change of the chemical composition of the insulation. So in fact, this change is in two parts. The first part is the progressive depletion of the antioxidant concentration, named AO. So you have a progressive decrease due to chemical consumption due to polymer stabilization, chemical reaction, but also due to physical loss by diffusion evaporation. And when the concentration of antioxidant is almost zero, you can start to detect with a classical spectrochemical technique in laboratories, the beginning of oxidation. And as soon as oxidation starts, very rapidly, in the case of stabilized polymer, you have the auto-acceleration of oxidation. So you obtain very important concentration of oxidation product. And this oxidation, when it is accelerating, it causes the change in the use properties of the insulation. So you have a catastrophic decrease. And it is possible to define end-of-life criterion based on a critical value of these properties. For the moment, the question of the choice of relevant structural end-of-life criterion is totally open. It's a totally open question because many researchers try to understand if it is possible to relate the end-of-life criterion determined with the use property to a structural end-of-life criterion. So at which scale it is possible to make these relationships and which chemical properties we can use, which is relevant chemical properties. So Davide showed example that in some case it is possible to have a relationship between the mechanical properties and the carbonyl index, for instance, but you can use other chemical criteria related to the chemistry. So the question is totally open. So in fact, we have the lifetime of the material is defined. It is not here TF. But in order to elaborate a model, in fact, we can now define another critical time, TS. In fact, it is the time, the duration for the total depletion of the antioxidant. And on both sides of this critical time, it is possible to obtain analytical equation for predicting the change of the chemical composition of the material. So for the time lower than TS, we will try to elaborate an analytical equation to predict the antioxidant depletion. And beyond this time, we will try to elaborate an analytical equation for predicting the oxidation of the insulation. And you imagine that, of course, the boundary condition between both types of model are very important because when we consume totally the antioxidant, we need to know the initial concentration of the oxidation product, which are responsible for the initiation of the oxidation, in particular the hydroperoxide species, which are a source of radical. So it is very important to know this concentration, to this boundary, in order to start from one analytical model and to trigger the second analytical model. So this is the idea, the concept. So we start with the polymer stabilization. So I will show you in the case of simple case of cross-linked polyethylene stabilized by thiodipropionate as a preventive antioxidant. So the stabilization reaction is summarized below. It is called 1D. So the thiodipropionate decompose hydroperoxide into alcohol, into inactive product. And so in this way, we don't generate radical, and it is possible to suppress the thermal initiation of the oxidation reaction. So if we imagine a closed loop mechanism here, so you suppress the initiation, so you stop the formation of radical, and there is no propagation after. And this reaction, in fact, is in competition with this initiation in the polymer. And it is possible in the first approach to define a necessary condition to have an efficient stabilization. In fact, we comparate we calculate the ratio of the rate of the two reactions. So the rate of the first reaction is a rate constant multiplied by the concentration of the chemical species before the arrow. It is a classical kinetic concept. So it is this stabilization rate, and we divide it by the rate of initiation, thermal initiation. So it is the rate constant multiplied by the concentration of hydroperoxide. So I think there is a fault here. You have an exponent 2 here because you have 2 pOH. So there is a fault here. You have to correct that. And to have an efficient stabilization, of course, the rate of stabilization must be higher than the rate of the initiation. And if you introduce the initial concentration, we have determined in the case of the steam cable project for the antioxidant and the hydroperoxide. In fact, you obtain an inequality. And so to have an efficient stabilization, you must it's necessary to verify, to check this inequality. So the problem is that, in fact, this ratio here, in fact, the 2 rate constants are thermoactivated, they obey an Arrhenius law. So the ratio also is thermoactivated. And in the literature, it is observed that, in fact, the efficiency of the stabilization decreases when you decrease the temperature. So it is decreasing. So that means that, in fact, the activation energy of the stabilization rate constant is higher than the activation energy of the initiation, thermal initiation rate constant. So you can have an idea on. Okay. So now, if you want to write an analytical equation, so it is possible to calculate the antioxidant depletion. So it is this rate. Yeah. So you multiply the rate constant by the initial concentration. And so we obtain this equation here. And the first term has been added in the rate because we consider the global antioxidant depletion, we consider the chemical consumption, but also the physical loss by evaporation. And in the literature, if you look at the work of Billingham and Calvert, it is said that the evaporation of antioxidant from the sample surface is directly proportional to its concentration. Key E, in fact, is the evaporation rate constant. So it is an apparent first order rate constant. So you have this global equation. It is a simple case. I have done that diffusion to simplify. And if you consider low conversion ratio of the stabilization reaction, that means, for instance, that the hydroperoxide concentration does not vary much. In fact, it is possible to simply integrate this equation, and you obtain an exponential function of time. So you can use this equation to model your experiment. If you access with different experiments to the decrease of the antioxidant concentration, you can feed directly the experimental data and try to determine the 2 constants. You can also simplify the problem. You can consider a linear variation of the hydroperoxide concentration. So it is really the case in the early period of exposure. So you introduce this linear variation in the equation, and then you can do a finite development when time tends towards 0 to this equation. So you linearize finally the exponential function. And you obtain a very simple equation with a relative ratio of relative variation of the concentration of an antioxidant. And experimentally, you have different experiments you can use to determine this relative concentration, ratio concentration. For instance, if you use FTIR spectroscopy, as shown by Gael, no Gael, sorry, I'm mistaken. Claire, I don't know why I say Gael. Char, sorry. The first day, in fact, you can follow by infrared the decrease in the concentration of the ester group. You have a band characteristic to this ester group. This ester group, in fact, it is an inactive product. It is totally insensitive to oxidation. So that means that if you have a decrease, you don't have a chemical reaction during the oxidation, you have just evaporation. So in fact, this decrease is directly the evaporation term. And so you can directly, with this data, determine the rate constant for evaporation. So here you have example. I show you example. We have a PhD student working on the stabilization of this polymer, Anne Xu, and you can see here the decrease of the ester band measured by infrared spectroscopy. The difficulty is that you see that as soon as this ester band becomes very low, you can see the starting of the oxidation of the polymer. So in fact, at the end of the decrease, you have the formation of oxidation product which increase, which superimpose and increase abnormally the peak corresponding to antioxidant. So it is difficult to have to access to the decrease of the antioxidant near to a value close to zero. Very difficult due to that. So you have different oxidation products which are determined here. You have ketone, acid. Here you have cyclic ester, and here you have anhydride. So it is oxidation products well known in the literature. So the data are plotted here. You see that it is very difficult to have a concentration very close to zero experimentally, but with the initial slope, you can directly determine the rate constant for evaporation. So it was the case here. You have also a very interesting other technique to follow the decrease in the concentration of antioxidant. In this case, you follow all the mechanisms responsible for this decrease, evaporation plus chemical consumption. It is the oxidation induction time measurement. You know that this oxidation induction time measurement, as shown by Claire, is proportional to the concentration of the antioxidant, the total concentration. So you can't replace directly in the equation. You have the ratio of YT. And so in this case, you can determine the two rate constant. So knowing the first one by infrared, you deduce the second one. So here you have example. So we have here just separate the chemical consumption from the evaporation, and we model directly with this equation. We suppress this term here. So we use the second and third term. So it is possible to model the term. So we can use very simple analytical tools for modeling the first part of the problem, the depletion of antioxidant. So now, if there is yes, I have a problem with I don't know if not difficult to. In fact, there is you see all the equation. Yes, it is the final one. So it is okay. But I recall use Rayleigh-Thielman oxidation mechanicity scheme. So we have seen the first day. So we have initiation to initiation, radiolysis, polymer radiolysis, thermal initiation, the propagation, and the termination. I have just detailed the formation of oxidation product we want to model, so carbonyl product. And another important chemical modification which has a direct consequence on the mechanical property as a transition. So when you have a formation of carbonyl product by beta scission, you have a transition. But you have other source of formation of carbonyl product. So that is the reason why the yield here are differentiated between carbonyl and transition, because you have a secondary reaction which can modify slightly this yield. So it is necessary to take them into account. I have precise you here the value of the different rate constant and also the rate of polymer radiolysis, which is directly proportional to the intensity of the irradiation. Here you have the value of the radical yield. which multiply this intensity of radiation. So it is independent of temperature. It is directly proportional to radiation. In contrast, all the other reactions are independent of the radiation, but they are dependent of the temperature, and they obey an Arrhenius law. So in the case of pure XLP, pure close-linked polyethylene, we have determined this value. And in fact, we take practically the same value as for linear polyethylene, not unclose-linked polyethylene. That means that when you have an oxidation of polyethylene, linear or close-linked, you oxidize the CH2 groups, and you have the same group in both polymers. So you obtain practically the same. You have a small difference in chemistry in close-linked polyethylene due to the fact that you create a new function, new chemical group close-linked, but the difference is very, very limited. It is the value after the point for each rate constant. So you can practically use in the first approach the same value. So it is possible using the concept of the chemical kinetic to translate this mechanistic scheme into a system of differential equations. So you calculate the depletion rate of or formation rate of each chemical species. So for the first one, for instance, you want to calculate the formation of P point, so it is directly equal to this rate. For the second line, it is the rate constant multiplied by the concentration before the round. And so you do that for all the chemical species, and you obtain the system of differential equation you can solve numerically using specific tools, numerical tools, because it is a very stiff problem to solve numerically. The initiation of the reaction is very difficult. Then when it starts, it to accelerate very rapidly, and from a numerical point of view, it is very difficult to solve that. You have to use very small time variation and very small. If you add the thickness of the sample, you have also to use very small space variation. So very difficult. So the idea is to try to solve this this system analytically. So I recall you here the initial condition because we start by the antioxidant depletion. So this system, this new equation will start at time Ts and not 0. So you have to solve this system, changing the initial condition to continue the kinetic model. So if I show you the case of pure thermal initiation. So in the case we neglect, in this case, the radiation, we consider only the impact of temperature. And when you use a numerical model, in fact, you observe that all the chemical species appear in the same time, the reaction scheme, mechanistic scheme, and you can write proportionality between these different concentration, and it is possible numerically to define the coefficient of this proportionality, and to demonstrate them also analytically. So I show you here this coefficient. So you can insert directly this coefficient into the system of differential equations. So you introduce directly this proportionality. And in fact, when you obtain directly this, you introduce directly this proportionality, you have to solve only this equation. So this equation can be integrated very easily because you replace PO2 point by POH, and you have one differential equation with only one variable. So it is possible to integrate it, and then to deduce with the proportionality the other chemical species. So very simple. So I show you here the expression of this solution. So you obtain a solution depending on time with different parameters corresponding to the multiplication or ratio of the different rate constant. And you can see that all these equations depend, in fact, of two environmental conditions, environmental factor. The concentration of oxygen in the atmosphere, in the polymer, which can be calculated easily using the classical Henry's law. It is proportional to the oxygen partial pressure in the environment. For instance, in this room, the total pressure is 1 bar. You have 21% of oxygen in the room, so the partial pressure is 21% multiplied by 1 bar. And you can calculate with that, with the Henry's law, directly the concentration, knowing the proportionality. And you have also we have also the rate constant, the different parameters which depend on the temperature. They obey Arrhenius laws. So you have also the impact of the temperature directly in this equation. And you have the time here. You see that you have exponential function, which will express the fact that the oxidation is strongly auto-accelerated at the end of the induction period. So it is an exponential form. And you have different. In the case of the thin cable problem, we have irradiation in temperature. So we have a couple problem to solve. We cannot use this equation. So it is necessary to consider the polymer radiolysis, and it is necessary to do different assumptions. The assumption which is generally made in the literature is to consider that we have a steady state for all radical species. That means that the sum of radical species remain constant during all the aging exposure. So it is really the case when you have an irradiation, because you produce a lot of radical by radiation and you maintain at a constant level the concentration of radical. So you can, if you make the addition of these two equations and the sum is equal to 0, so you can obtain this secondary polynomial, and you can calculate the positive root directly, and you obtain this very simple equation, saying that in fact that you have a concentration of peroxy radical, and you have a proportionality directly with the concentration of alkyl radical. Now, if you introduce this solution into the system of differential equation, you can solve numerically the system of differential equation, and you obtain these two equations for radical species. So you have constant value. We consider that you have a steady state regime, so we have constant value. This value depends on concentration of oxygen and also temperature, because the rate constant obeys the Arrhenius law. Beta is a parameter separating the regime in oxygen default to the regime in oxygen excess. The regime in oxygen excess, in fact, you can consider that in your material, the quantity of oxygen is enough to have the maximum rate of oxidation. You cannot go at a higher rate. It is impossible, because you have one oxygen molecule per one radical, alkyl radical. And if you add a new oxygen molecule, you cannot accelerate. So you have a maximum concentration of oxygen to obtain this maximum rate. And now if you introduce this solution into the third equation, so this one, so it is possible also to integrate this equation. So in this case, so you obtain this solution, now depending of time, because during the irradiation, you create hydroperoxide, but this hydroperoxide can decompose by thermal initiation, so you have a variation with time. You have an exponential function due to the accelerate character of the oxidation. So you have all the solution now in this case. So you have an idea of the chemistry of in your sample. With this different solution, you can calculate very important properties, chemical properties, which can be checked experimentally. So you can calculate the oxygen uptake, oxygen consumption. In fact, you make just a difference between the oxygen, which is add to alkyl radical, and you remove oxygen, which is released in the termination. In the termination of peroxy radical, so you have directly this balance equation. So you add directly in the solution of you have seen previously for these two chemical species. You can also calculate the formation of carbonyl product. You can detect directly by infrared spectroscopy. So it is another way to validate the model. And you can also calculate the transition, which are responsible for the change in the mechanical properties of the insulation. So I consider only the mechanical property this morning for my presentation, because Simone will be focused on the dielectric properties. So I present you here the different solution we can obtain for the oxygen consumption in the case of the radiothermal agent. So we consider polymer radiolysis and thermal initiation. In the case of carbonyl species also. And in the case of transition, we have practically the same equation. You have just to change the yield here, because in fact, if you remember, sorry, I have to. In fact, we have a transition when we have a carbonyl, but we have just a difference in the yield. So we have the same equation. You have just to replace the yield. Something very important to calculate is to try to predict the embrittlement of the material. So I said you that the transition is responsible for the change in mechanical property. I see I have something strange here, which appear again. So it's not a problem. So here I have represented at the macromolecular scale the polyethylene, the cross-linked polyethylene. So you imagine a linear chain of polyethylene, and we have cross-link point. In fact, in our case, we use a Celanol function. It is a Celan graft polyethylene, and the Celan function form siloxane bridge between the polymer chain. So they are represented, the bridge, the cross-link are represented by this point. And here I have schematized, I have represent an example of transition. So you consider that you have an oxidation in this part. You form an alkoxyl radical, and you have a beta scission to form your aldehyde, your carbonyl, and you have in the same time a transition, this formation. And you see that when you have a transition, one chain between two nodes, two cross-link disappear. So this chain is called elastically active chain because it is the chain which is responsible for the mechanical properties, for the elongation at break of the material in particular. So you see that one transition destroys one elastically active chain. So the number of elastically active chain can be calculated very easily. In fact, the initial concentration of this chain, you remove the number of transition. So it is very simple. So if you calculate then using the rubber elasticity theory, the Young modulus, the elongation at break, you can directly, with this, knowing this quantity, to calculate the change in mechanical properties of a rubber polymer. So it is very. And if you want to calculate the lifetime, you imagine that you cut elastically active chain. So the material must is loaded by the mechanical loading. You cut chain at a certain time. It is impossible for the material, if you destroy this chain, to support the loading, the stress. So you have a certain time when you have destroyed a lot of chain, you have a catastrophic decrease of the fracture properties. The elongation at break decrease catastrophically. And so in fact, you can consider that to access this time of embrittlement, you can consider that when oxidation, since oxidation is very auto-accelerated, is very sharply auto-accelerated, you can consider that when you have an important quantity of oxidation product, you have also an important quantity of transition, and so the rupture appear very rapidly. And the species responsible for transition are hydroperoxide. So it is, from a scientific point of view, it is justified to use hydroperoxide as main species responsible for transition and thus for the rapid decrease of the elongation at break. And for linear polyethylene, but also for close-in polyethylene, we have determined by comparing the measurement, experimental measurement of the hydroperoxide concentration and the change in the elongation at break of the insulation, we have observed that whatever the exposure temperature, whatever the radiation condition, we have a constant critical value, critical structural and life criterion with this value. So it seems that it is a universal value for polyethylene. So if you know this critical value, you can introduce it directly in this equation to calculate the corresponding lifetime. If you do that, you obtain a very simple equation. You have just to know by modeling the value of the different parameters. So I show you rapidly example of simulation with this simple analytical equation. So here you have the change in hydroperoxide concentration. I will stop. And you can see that it is just to identify the rate constant of the, not to identify, to confirm that we can use the same rate constant as for linear polyethylene, in the case of close-in polyethylene. Here you have also the carbonate species with the same value of rate constant. You have a satisfying agreement. And here you have the change of elastically active chain determined directly by swelling measurement with a solvent. So you can see that you have a satisfying agreement for all experiments except in the case of where you do an irradiation at high temperature, typically 80 degrees C. In fact, in this case, we have a very strong coupling between thermal oxidation and radio oxidation. And this simplification we do at the beginning to deduce analytical equation. In fact, we are not in the case of this strong coupling. We are in the case of radio oxidation is higher than thermal oxidation. That's the case when we increase strongly the temperature. So to have a better fitting of this data, in fact, it is necessary to revisit the initial assumption, to modify it, to change this initial assumption to obtain a better analytical equation. So I show you here the calculation for the lifetime with the model here, and the value we obtain experimentally with the VTT result shown yesterday by Constant. And you can see that for the lifetime you have a very good checking. I have not shown don't give the value of the lifetime when the thermal initiation is important because the model is not satisfying. Okay, so I hope with this rapid presentation I have shown how we try to model find a kinetic model to simulate what we obtain experimentally in this project. And so this simple model can be used directly in different code in order to simulate more complex polymer pieces in 3 dimensions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Fabien. Is there any question from the audience, both online and in presence?
I have a question concerning the thickness of the polymer. Have you considered it as a beginning as in an hypothesis, or
no?
You take it apart?
Yes, in fact, in this project, we work a lot with plate and sheets. So the thickness is restricted to some microns maximum. And in this case, for the result I show you, experimental result I show you, the oxidation is homogeneous. We check that by nano indentation across the sample thickness. But if you consider, so in the case of radio oxidation, it is the case. If you consider now thermal oxidation, pure thermal oxidation, not irradiation, in the case you have gradient, oxidation gradient. It is necessary to, in fact, to add the diffusion of the antioxidant, of course, because it is important. So, in fact, you introduce the Fick-Segon law with the space. For instance, you consider a change in the concentration across the thickness. You introduce Z, for instance, for the thickness. We know the coefficient of diffusion of this antioxidant because it was given in the literature. I don't remember the name of the guy, but it is very famous. Sorry, it is a French guy. In the case of oxidation, also, it is necessary also to consider. It is also necessary to consider, not in this equation, but in this case, you have to add a new equation. It is the variation of the oxygen concentration. So, in fact, you have here it is considered a constant across the thickness. But if it is not constant, you know the value at the surface given by the Henry law. But in the thickness, you have a decrease. So, if you introduce the consumption of oxygen, plus also the Fick law with a coefficient of oxygen diffusion. And in fact, the problem is more difficult to solve. You have to solve numerically in time and space, the problem. But if you use analytical equation, it is possible now, first, to calculate this consumption of oxygen and to introduce directly here, when you have your equation, to introduce the second Fick law here. In fact, you have directly the rate of decrease of oxygen by chemical consumption, plus you have an oxygen supply by diffusion. So in this case, you have a more complex equation for this quantity only. But the other solution can be considered valid. So the advantage of the analytical equation is that it is also, if you consider the diffusion, oxidation gradient, you can also simplify the coupling with oxidation, with diffusion.
Okay. And what about the evaporation speed against the diffusion speed? Because if you have no diffusion,
evaporation is only a condition at the surface.
Yes, I understand. But if you have no enough speed of diffusion, you will not have
in fact, you write an equation with the diffusion.
Yes.
So you have to identify to make an integration of this equation. but you need to make the integration to know the condition at the surface. So the condition at the surface has the evaporation, the condition of evaporation, but in the sample, you have the diffusion. So the evaporation, you put only the evaporation at the surface. For oxygen, it is very low, it is a constant. But for antioxidant, it is the evaporation law.
Okay. If there is no other question, maybe no, there is one other question.
Very fast. Concerning contamination reaction, I wanted to see parameters. So reaction number 6
Yes.
appear in all equations, but I have a question concerning the activation energy.
Of 6, yes.
Yeah.
It is very important. It is unrealistic in the
Yeah.
first approach because you can say, in particular, the pre-exponential factor. In fact, normally the pre-exponential factor is limited to 10 exponent 13 for unimolecular reaction,
Yeah.
and limited to 10 exponent 12 for bimolecular reaction. The problem is that this reaction depend also on the molecular mobility because they are termination. So you consider radical in a very small concentration, so you need to have some diffusion to before reaction. So that means that they, in fact, they are limited in fact by the.
And is that not an explication?
It is the first explication. The second explication is it is an apparent coefficient due to the fact that you have a sum of different reaction. And so here we have a summation of different reaction. In fact, it is a balanced reaction. It is not an elementary reaction. It is more complex. You have disproportionation, you have coupling, you have diffusion of point radical with beta scission, hydrogen attraction. And when we make the sum of all these reactions, in fact, you have not an elementary reaction, you have something more complicated.
And is it explained the deviation when you increase the temperature? Or not necessarily?
In fact, it is whatever the temperature, you have this value.
Yeah, but concerning measurement at 86 degrees Celsius, the model deviate?
No, up to 90, it is okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Beyond 90, you can, you have another solution, yes, for this global rate constant. Because you have, yes. In fact, in the case of polyethylene, if you plot the variation of the oxidation rate or induction time of polyethylene in an Arrhenius graph, version of the reverse temperature, in fact, you obtain not one Arrhenius law, you obtain two Arrhenius law with a break at approximately 90 degrees C. And for us, it is due to the fact that this final rate constant, termination rate constant, K6, take a value below 90 degrees C, and you have another solution beyond. So you have, yes, you approach the, you are in the breaking point. So yes, but no, it is not. You can say that you would say that perhaps it is responsible for the fact that 86. No, it is not that. No, it is really that the model. Yes, no, the model is not good because we have a bad coupling between thermal and radioactive.